Croeso, prynhawn da, a croeso I neuadd William Aston, ar ddiwrnod arbennig iawn i'n prifysgol ac i'n dinas, wrth I ni ddathlu sefydlu pedwerydd Is-Ganghellor Prifysgol Wrecsam. Good afternoon and welcome to the William Aston Hall on this special day for our university and our city as we celebrate the installation of the fourth Vice-Chancellor of Wrexham University. Wel, nid oes larwm tân wedi drefnu heddiw, ond os bydd y larwm yn seinio, os fedrwch chi adael y neuadd yn drefnus ac yn ddiogel drwy'r allanfeydd tân sydd wedi lleoli ar ochrau'r auditoriwm. A dilynwch gyfarwyddiadau'r swyddogion tân, os gwelwch yn dda. So there is no fire alarm scheduled today, but if the fire alarm sounds, please leave the hall in an orderly and safe manner via the fire escapes located to the sides of the auditorium and follow the instructions of the fire marshals. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you. Felly, byddwn yn dechrau'r seremoni y prynhawn yma gyda'r gosodiad ei hun, cyn clywed darlith agoriadol yr Athro Yates, ein Is-Ganghellor, a pherfformiad arbennig I orffen gan gôr meibion John's Boys, a mae'n anrhydedd gennym eu croesawu nhw y prynhawn yma i'r brifysgol. Diolch yn fawr iddyn nhw. We will start the ceremony with the installation itself, before hearing the inaugural lecture of Professor Joe Yates, our Vice-Chancellor, before ending with a performance by John's Boys Male Voice Choir, and we are honoured to welcome them here to the university here today on this special occasion. Felly, I ddechrau'r ceremony, mae'n rhoi pleser mawr I mi wahodd Dr Lee Griffin, cadeirydd Bwrdd Llywodraethwyr Prifysgol Wrecsam, I agor y seremoni y prynhawn yma. To open the proceedings, it gives me great pleasure to invite Dr Lee Griffin, Chair of the Board of Governors of Wrexham University, to open the ceremony.
Diolch, Ellen Mai Myler. Pnawn da, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, great to see so many of you here today for what is a really important milestone for any university and a very proud one for Wrexham University. Usually when we meet as a congregation of Wrexham University, it is to award degrees and other academic awards and to confer honorary fellowships. We'll be doing that later in October, but today we meet for a different reason. Today we celebrate an important milestone on the history of this university, the installation of our fourth Vice-Chancellor. We do so in the presence not only of the academic community, which makes up this university, the academic and operational staff and representatives of the student body and governors, but also of our many, many stakeholders within the wider community. And it is so good to see so many of you here today. We cannot succeed on our own. We work with you and for you for the good of the communities we serve. So I would therefore like to formally welcome representatives from our academic and industrial partners, as well as civic and religious leaders. By your presence here, you are demonstrating your continuing support for this university and expressing your best wishes to the university and to our new Vice-Chancellor as he commences on a new era in the history of this university. And so, by the authority given to me by the university, it gives me immense pleasure to open this congregation of the university and to ask that the university proclamation be read.
Hyder trwy addysg. Bydded hysbys i aelodau'r brifysgol ac i bawb sydd yn bresennol. Y cynhelir heddiw ar y dyddiad yma, dydd Mercher yr ail ar 15 o Fedi 2025, yn Ninas Wrecsam, gynulliad awdurdodedig Prifysgol Wrecsam, i sefydlu Is-Ganghellor newydd y brifysgol. Yna, dy oleuni a gyfyd mewn tywyllwch. A tywyllwch a fydd fel hanner dydd. A rhai a fyddant ohono ti a adeiladant yr hen ddiffeithleoedd. Y mae digonedd o air ac o emau, ond geiriau deallus yw'r trysor gwerthfawrocaf. Hyder trwy addysg. Confidence through education. Be it known to members of the university and to all here present that an authorised congregation of Wrexham University is being held here in the city of Wrexham this day, Wednesday, 17th of September 2025, to install a new Vice-Chancellor of Wrexham University. Then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness be as the noonday. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. There is gold and a multitude of rubies, but the lips of knowledge are a precious jewel.
Diolch. Let me tell you a bit about Joe. A respected academic and a strong advocate for social justice. The career of Professor Joe Yates spans frontline social work, criminology and higher education leadership. Raised on Merseyside, you'd never guess, would you? Joe's upbringing instilled in him a strong sense of community and fairness. He studied history, politics and media, followed by an MA in social work at Nottingham University, and later earned a DPhil in criminology and social policy from De Montfort University. Before entering academia, he spent 15 years working in social services and criminal justice, including time spent as a social worker, a probation officer, a youth worker, and a youth offending manager. These experiences shaped his very evident commitment to improving outcomes for vulnerable and marginalised groups. In 2007, Joe joined Liverpool John Moores University as head of criminology. He co-founded the Centre for the Study of Crime, Criminalisation and Social Exclusion, and later became director of the School of Humanities and Social Science. He also led the development of the Liverpool Centre for Advanced Policing Studies. His research focused on youth justice and policy responses to children involved in crime and antisocial behaviour. He's contributed to national policy through work with the College of Policing, the Home Office and the Youth Justice Board, and he's collaborated with charities and community organisations to ensure research has practical impact. Joe has held various voluntary roles, including school and college governance, and the Regional Governance Board from Cradle to Career, a Liverpool-based initiative tackling educational inequality. When we were setting out on the recruitment process for our new Vice-Chancellor, the Board of Governors sought an individual that would bring visionary leadership, strategic insight, and a really deep insight and commitment to collaboration and civic engagement. We had significant national and international interest in the role, but throughout the process, Joe shone through. His clarity of vision, his commitment to collaboration, his passion for place-based education shone. And in his time with us already, Joe's impact has been seen in building partnerships, inspiring staff and students, and championing Wrexham's role in the region, and that is clear for all to see. On a personal level, I can vouch for Joe's incredibly strong and clear value base. For our many personal discussions, he's always open, exploring ideas, sharing ideas, demonstrating commitment with due seriousness, with real care, and with very evident integrity. And it is a pleasure to be working with him. So as Chair of the Board of Governors, it gives me immense pride to welcome Joe as our Vice-Chancellor. I would invite all of our community, staff, students, stakeholders, to support and collaborate with the university under Joe's leadership as we shape the future of Wrexham and of North Wales together. Diolch.
Mae gai ofyn yn awr I Joy Morton, clerc I Fwrdd Llywodraethwyr y Brifysgol, I ddarllen penderfyniad y bwrdd. I would now like to ask Joy Morton, the clerk to the University's Board of Governors, to read the resolution of the board.
Prynhawn da. Following an intensive recruitment and interview process that concluded in April 2024, in accordance with the Instruments and Articles of Government, the Board of Governors unanimously agreed to appoint Joe Yates as Vice-Chancellor and Chief Executive of Wrexham University, with effect from August 2024. Professor Yates subsequently communicated his acceptance of the role of Vice-Chancellor.
Symudwn ni nawr at y pwynt yn y seremoni lle mae'r Is-Ganghellor newydd yn tynnu llw ei swydd ac yn derbyn copi o offerynnau ac erthyglau'r brifysgol a sêl awdurdod y brifysgol. We now move to the part of the ceremony when the new Vice-Chancellor takes his oath of office and receives a copy of the instruments and articles of government of the university and the seal of office. Felly, hoffwn yn awr, wahodd cadeirydd Bwrdd y Llywodraethwyr, is-gadeirydd Bwrdd y Llywodraethwyr a'r is-ganghellor I sefyll. Therefore, I would like to now invite the Chair of the Board of Governors, the Vice-Chair of the Board of Governors and the Vice-Chancellor to stand.
Chair, I present to you Professor Joe Yates as Vice-Chancellor and Chief Executive of Wrexham University, and I ask that you administer the oath of office. Trwy awdurdod y brifysgol a ymddiriedwyd I mi, penodach chi yn Is-Ganghellor Prifysgol Wrecsam, ac yn eich gwahodd I ddathlu'r swydd.
By the authority of the University, I appoint you Vice-Chancellor of Wrexham University and invite you to take the oath of office.
Yngmwyth y crau syth yn bresennol ac o'n clawn o'n wybodol o alwedigaeth uchel. Comeraf fel Is-Ganghellor Prifysgol Wrecsam. O'r edifwy Athro Yates. Yn tynnu clw I Umrwy. Fy hun I Prifysgol Wrecsam. Hywyddiad gwybodaeth, datblygiad economaeth a cymdeithasol gogledd Cymru. A cles staff am y fôwi Prifysgol. In the presence of those assembled here and in the full realisation of the high calling I assume as Vice-Chancellor of Wrexham University, I, Professor Joe Yates, do hereby swear to devote myself to Wrexham University, the furtherance of knowledge, the economic and social development of North Wales, and to the well-being of all the university staff and students.
You have taken the oath of office as Vice-Chancellor and Chief Executive, in Welsh and in English. May I now present you with the instruments and articles of the University and the University Seal.
I received the instruments and articles of government of the University and the University Seal, and I undertake to perform my role as Vice-Chancellor and Chief Executive to the best of my ability and in accordance with the articles of government.
So, members of the congregation of Wrexham University, may I present to you your Vice-Chancellor, Professor Joe Yates, and ask that you welcome him into our community, give him your support and the benefit of your advice, and follow him as he leads this university to a prosperous and successful future.
Dyma ddarlleniad I chi o If gan Rudyard Kipling. Darlleniad yw hon wedi ei ddewis gan yr Is-Ganghellor. We now move on to a reading chosen by the Vice-Chancellor of the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated. Don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose, and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Wel, hoffwn yn awr, wahodd yr Is-Ganghellor, yr Athro Yates, I draddodi ei ddarlith athrawol gyntaf. I would now like to invite the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Joe Yates, to deliver his inaugural professorial lecture.
Bryn yn da, and croeso to Prifysgol Wrecsam. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wrexham University. It's a tremendous honour to stand here before you today as your Vice-Chancellor and Chief Executive, and I want to extend a heartfelt welcome to you all, our staff, our students, honorary fellows, Senate members, members of Parliament, lords, civic leaders, Vice-Chancellors, community partners, Lady Mayoress, and friends and family to this inauguration. Your presence means a great deal to all of us. I also wanted to say thank you to colleagues here and the people of Wrexham who've given me such a warm welcome to your community. I also want to say thank you to my family and my remarkable wife Steph and my two wonderful boys, William and Jack, who are sitting here on the front row. They put up with the long hours, but more importantly, keep me grounded and focused on what matters. The installation of a Vice-Chancellor is a time to celebrate the university, its history, its community, and to look to reflect on the next phase of our journey. This ceremony today is about our university, it's about Wrexham, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. But first, I want to say a few words about my motivation and share some reflections on my journey. As the more observant amongst you, including the chair of the board, have probably picked up by now, I'm not actually Welsh. I'm from Liverpool. I grew up in a working class community in Bootle in North Liverpool. My father was a lorry driver and my mother worked in Johnson's the Cleaners and the Knights at the Gyro Bank, as well as bringing up 6 children. My grandparents on my mother's side were Irish immigrants. My Irish grandfather was a docker and my Irish granny Bridget was a cook. And just for the record, they most certainly did arrive on small and medium-sized boats. My grandfather on my father's side, John, was a carter working on the docks in Liverpool, and my grandmother, Martha, a Lancastrian, was a mill worker. They were proud working-class people who lived remarkable lives in a vibrant working-class community with strong social capital and deep resilience. I don't want to romanticise, though. Bootle had and still has deep economic and social challenges and complex and interlocking patterns of deprivation which are intergenerational and which impact on the life chances of its people. It's not unlike Wrexham in that it finds itself on the sharp end of global economics, shocks, deindustrialisation, with all the social challenges that brings. In this context, communities like these are often portrayed as disorganised and hollowed out, and the people who live there deemed in some way responsible for the structural damage that impacts on their lives and constrains their life chances. Stereotypical perceptions abound about what these communities are about and their morality, and often the poverty and the challenges they face are recast as the result of their moral indigence or their poor life choices. This deficit view fails to acknowledge or recognise the talent, resilience and creativity in these communities. It fails to recognise their story. My mother and my father and my forebears were not formally educated beyond their early schooling, but they understood the importance of education and pursued it using all the resources available to them. Born in 1926, my father had no option to go to university. He left school at 14 before lying his age to join the army in the Second World War. My mother similarly didn't have the option of further education, despite her talent and intellect. She was schooled in rural Ireland as a Catholic during a period of great upheaval, and then, after marrying, brought up her family in challenging economic circumstances. But whilst my family didn't have a lot of money, we had other riches. I grew up in a stimulating intellectual environment surrounded by books, ideas, debate, creativity and talent, a part of the story which is often neglected in the portrayal of working-class communities. In a city defined and shaped by immigration and emigration, I was surrounded by culture and a rich oral tradition. The punk music of my brother Martin sitting on the front row, the soul and reggae of my sister Mary, the inspiration of my older sister Anne, again here today, the first in our family to go off to university. And the stories. In a city of storytellers, my dad told stories of our great uncles who sailed the seven seas, of my aunts and my cousins, of the horrors of the war he experienced, of remarkable feats of humanity in the face of all the odds, of the integrity of working people and the beauty of ordinary lives lived out in extraordinary ways, of camaraderie, of deep support networks found in these communities, stories about the resilience of working people, and random stories, the man who lived down the road who dismantled his chimney to rescue his prized pigeon and how his wife left him because of this, of the lovers, the fighters, the rebels, of books, of poems, of the docks and its characters, how the river shaped our family and shaped our outlook, of the Liverpool accent and how it developed from the rich melting pot of the dock with the Welsh and the Irish, of my great-grandfather, the Landleaguer, who rallied 5,000 strong to hear syndicalists denounce tenant landlords, of my grandfather, killed at work by a boom, and how my father protested at the coroner's court when they deemed it a heart attack, so the dock company had no recourse. How my father argued, but they threw him out, of the women and how they collaborated and brought up their families. When we tell the intellectual history of Britain, this story doesn't include these voices. Too often it begins and ends with elites, with philosophers, with prime ministers in ancient universities. But this leaves out another tradition, the tradition of working people. For centuries, working people have told their stories, debated and written and created ideas outside formal institutions. Here in Wales, in miners' libraries, trade union halls, chapels, cooperative societies. And this is an intellectual history every bit as rich as the canon of Oxford and Cambridge, and yet it's been consistently sidelined. Why? Because first, intellect was too narrowly defined. Second, bias meant that working-class writers, when they were published, was often only seen as evidence of poverty rather than thinkers in their own right. Radical movements from Chartism to Landleaguers were dismissed as agitation rather than recognised as legitimate political ideas. And education. University prized abstract disciplines, while technical colleges, union schools and adult classes were kept to the margins. These institutions, such as Mechanics' Institute and mutual improvement societies, had begun to emerge in the 1800s from the ivory towers far away from the ivory towers of the elite institutions, focused on working-class education, and this is where the roots of our university began to emerge. They aim to educate artisans, engineers and tradespeople in applied science, mechanics, literacy, often funded by subscriptions and philanthropy, offering lectures, discussion groups and small lending libraries, evolving later into the technical education of the 19th century. So what's all of this got to do with today? Well, Wrexham University is part of this tradition. Its history dates back to 1887 with the establishment of the Wrexham School of Science and Art. the region's first formal higher education institution, providing education for working people. In 1924, degrees were first offered in science here in Wrexham. In 1927, the institution, renamed Denbighshire Technical Institute, was renamed and recited with a £10,000 donation from the Miners' Welfare Fund. These institutions train people in technical skills directly relevant to the local economy: mining, engineering, later teacher training and social care. Even in these early days, our university and its forebears were ahead of the time. A commitment to inclusion was evident. We were innovating to offer models of study which were accessible, offering vocational, part-time and evening study, enabling working people to advance their skills alongside employment. Our history was also embedded in the local community. In September 1934, the communities of Wrexham were shattered by the Ffrwd disaster, one of the darkest moments in Britain's industrial history. 266 miners never came home, and that grief was etched onto the memory of North East Wales. That loss spoke not only to the dangers of coal, but to the resilience of the people who lived and worked in its shadow, and their responses to the injustices in how they were treated in the aftermath. The subsequent inquiry identified major shortcomings in safety at the mine, and as a result, as a request of the Miners' Rescue and Welfare Association, the college put on a raft of new and extra courses around mine safety during the spring and summer of 1935, attracting 403 students from across the country. By the 1930s, the college was a cornerstone of technical education. It had a clear purpose: to serve the people, equip them with knowledge, provide opportunities in a world where education was often out of reach. Its expansion led to the Plascock site where you're sitting today, and the building you're sitting in. When you go out, you can see the tiles by Peggy Angus, symbolising the principles, the flow of learning which remains a campus highlight. Our university evolved and grew with the town, adapting further over the years with mergers. The university became the college became Newey in 1970, bringing together a number of different colleges. In 1993, Newey became an associate, and then in 2004, a full member of the University of Wales. In 2006, the institution won authority to validate its own degrees, and in 2008, it was given university status and renamed Glyndŵr University. And in 2023, was rebranded as Wrexham. These organisations are all united with a bold and visionary purpose to extend the gift of knowledge to working people. In their lecture halls and libraries, artisans and tradespeople found opportunities to learn, to improve and to aspire beyond the limits of society placed on them. But more than that though, their talents were the driving force behind innovation in industry, science and the art. By unlocking their talent, we drove growth. These weren't elite institutions, but they were pioneers, and we continue to walk in their footsteps whenever I open a library door or enter into a classroom. So what brought me to Wrexham? Because Wrexham University is part of a tradition of education for working people, for first-generation students, and I believe that's important. I believe in universities like Wrexham because I understand the transformational impact that education can have. Indeed, I owe my own academic career to places like Wrexham, and my story and the story of my family are interwoven with them. I went to a comprehensive school in a community similar to a number of the communities we serve today. I then went to Ffrwd Technical College in the heart of Bootle to do my A-levels part-time. This was transformational for me, and I'm absolutely delighted and proud that in the audience today is the CEO and Principal of that college, Rachel Hennigan, and the former CEO and Principal, Yana Williams. I'm also proud that my wife teaches criminology there, inspiring first-generation students, and that I continue to serve as a member of their board to give something back. After Ffrwd, I went on to Leicester Poly to read history, politics and media. I chose that course because of its interdisciplinary content. I didn't know it then, but I do now. That was the product of the polytechnic system, a melting pot of interdisciplinarity which emerged in the late 1970s. After this, I got a job as a youth worker in Leicester. I saw firsthand how education access acted as a barrier for some of the most marginalised young people. And I could see how some of the young men were gravitating into delinquent pathways, and for others, how accessible education was part of their road to deterrence. I decided that I wanted to work in youth justice, so I went to read an MA in social work in Nottingham University, where I met my amazing wife. We were actually in the same tutor group, and I think up there on the camera, the leader of the tutor group is watching, and if she is, I'll just say a quick hello to Tina Reedy. The course exposed us to discussions around power and actualisation, exploring new ways of working with people to enact changes in their lives through social work techniques, new ways of seeing and understanding the world delivered by passionate and inspirational lecturers who are making profound interventions in their field. I gained practical experience too, working in prisons and young offender institutes. After qualifying as a social worker, I went to work in youth justice in Leicestershire. I worked in the courts and worked with families in crisis. I worked in prisons, I ran group work programmes. It was at a key moment in the history of youth justice with the establishment of multi-agency youth offending teams. So I learnt a lot about how organisations come together and how different cultures emerge in a professional landscape. I developed a particular interest in working with young men and masculinities. Long before discussions of toxic masculinity, I was researching why young men committed crime and their vulnerabilities, reading the work of Connell and Messerschmitt, exploring barriers and vulnerabilities for young working class boys, searching for meaning in a landscape where old certainties of the transitions from boyhood to manhood have become hopelessly fractured, and debunking stereotypes around these young people we wouldn't tolerate for any other group. Thirsty to understand more, I went on to DMU to read a PhD under the supervision of Brian Williams and David Ward. These places of learning opened up new vistas for me and provided the foundation for a successful career over the next 15 years in youth justice. Coaxed into the academy in about 2003, I joined DMU as a lecturer teaching probation officers. After developing their applied criminology programme, I left DMU in 2007 to join John Moores University. As Lee said, I served as Head of Criminology, Director of Humanities and Social Science, and later as a Pro-Vice-Chancellor. In all these roles, I gained so much. For me, working in academia was a privilege. I got to teach, but also to pursue my own research. I worked with incredible people and led national studies for the College of Policing, the Home Office and the Youth Justice Board. I conducted work on dangerous young offenders, and I explored their motivations and best ways to manage them in society. I explored risk, power, crime, alienation, the impact of policing on black victims, how antisocial behaviour orders were being used on children with learning disabilities. I was a polymath, and I found a natural home in criminology. I could draw insights from a range of social science and creative disciplines. One day I could be researching the impact of theatre techniques on young offenders, and the next looking at the activities of big private providers gaming the economy of the criminal justice system. I worked in the Balkans, directing the International Youth Justice Symposium in Croatia for 10 years, in a space where East met West, where scholars from across the divide could exchange views. Strategic leadership pulled me away from my research, but the quid pro quo was my intellectual curiosity was satiated as I got more exposure to different disciplines. In my first day of Director of Humanities and Social Science at John Moores, I was thrown into helping resurrect a project on the archive of working class writing with the incredible English department. As I developed, more opportunities became available, and with each one, new challenges, and from each of those, new opportunities. Leading the Faculty of Arts, Professional and Social Studies with art, screen, creative writing, helping reposition business, developing degree apprenticeships, developing outreach in the art school, understanding the impact of the creative and digital sector, and delivering inclusive growth through the economy. Working to develop a Centre for Educational Leadership. Externally, working with Professor Phil Redmond to try to secure Channel 4's move to Liverpool. Chairing hyper-local place-based change initiatives in my own community, sitting on a range of boards, and all the time working with incredible students and watching them and having the privilege of seeing them excel. I'll be honest, there were moments when I found myself out of depth. I was at an art exhibition in China representing the university for the John Moores Painting Prize. And in a moment of distraction, somebody managed to mic me up and hustle me into a side room where I was then interviewed on Chinese TV about surrealist art in China. It was not one of my best moments. On a serious note though, during that tour, I took a walk along the Bund and I reflected. 112 years earlier, my father's uncle had lied his age and ended up on a ship to Shanghai. I was walking along with a group of students from pretty poor backgrounds from John Moores University who were having the experience of their lifetime on an exchange trip. And I was reflecting on what made that different. What was the difference between mine and my great-uncle's life? Well, that was easy. It was education. Education transformed lives and opens up windows of opportunity. Wrexham University and universities like it don't just educate, they uplift. That's what took me to DMU, that's what took me to Liverpool John Moores University, and that's what's brought me here to Wrexham. My first year here has left a deep impression on me, and I want to share a few reflections. First, our people here in Wrexham. The people at Wrexham, our staff and our students, are a huge asset. Their levels of engagement, their resilience and their commitment, pride and alignment with the university and its historic mission is impressive. This cannot and should not be underestimated. It's a hugely powerful base for the university to move into its next phase of development, to keep growing, to keep improving and to maximise its value as an anchor institution. Second, our values and our ambition for the communities we serve in North Wales. The strong commitment to social justice, inclusion and to future generations is powerful, and it's a mission that Wrexham remains true to. Many universities make claim to this space. However, it's clear to me, after a year in Wrexham University, that Wrexham's unswerving commitment to inclusion and our community is authentic, and that is recognised and valued politically by you, our stakeholders. This is a golden thread for Wrexham. Great universities have a deep and noble sense of purpose, and Wrexham has this. I share these values and this sense of purpose. Thirdly, Wrexham is a place. There's a real sense that the stars are aligning for Wrexham. It's a gateway city, and our new status as a city, our runner-up for City of Culture, and now with a bid for City of Culture 2029. The international glow of the football team, the investment zone, the North Wales growth deal, our proximity to not one but two free ports in Liverpool and Holyhead, nuclear developments in Ynys Môn, with opportunities with the Mersey-Dee Alliance, other opportunities emerging in industry such as advanced manufacturing, creative and digital, green energy, tourism, financial services and engineering, as well as opportunities in the public health and criminal justice sector. Wrexham University is already aligned with these priorities in North Wales, and with the support of the Ambition Board, developed the Camp Ffrwd building here on campus, which will drive new innovations in engineering. However, I believe there are other huge opportunities emerging, and our university, working in partnership, will be at the beating heart of the skills ecosystem in North East Wales, a leader of place, powering growth, providing skills for the future generation as our forebears have. These, for me, are really strong foundations, but as your Vice-Chancellor, I will need to lead with you, Wrexham University, through some of the most challenging times for the sector. Too often, universities lean towards introspection, and this internal focus can blind us to the scale of the challenges and what is at stake. It's important at Wrexham that we're aware of this and that we face into these challenges. The world around us is rapidly changing, politically, economically and socially. We face challenges in terms of technology and global instability, with disinformation abounding. In the HE sector, not a week goes by without coverage of a university in some kind of financial trouble. Our future here at Wrexham University depends on how we respond and how we adapt to these challenges. The universities who will survive will be learning organisations who are quick to adapt, who are willing to think and act differently, willing to engage creatively with the new landscape. Those who look to the future, horizon scan, and have the courage to be unapologetically bold, entrepreneurial, and to dream and to achieve a shared vision. Over the last year, we've been busy positioning ourselves and have developed a blueprint for the next phase of Wrexham University's journey, our Wrexham 2030 strategy. Our aim is simple: to be a world-leading modern civic university, regionally and globally engaged, delivering skills and impactful research which drive economic growth and innovation, but we do this for the well-being of our current and future generations. What does this mean? Well, a modern civic university for us is a higher education institution that blends academic excellence with a strong, deliberate commitment to serving its city, its region, and wider society. The civic element emphasises responsibility beyond the campus, while the modern highlights our adaptability to today's global challenges. Our vision is for a Wrexham University which puts students at the heart, which drives innovation, is at the heart of the skills ecosystem, which delivers for North Wales whilst projecting itself internationally. A Wrexham University which is true to its roots, its values and its mission for North Wales and Welsh culture. A Wrexham University which not only leads the sector, but thinks outside the box, challenges the status quo and shapes, not just responds to the debate. Whilst this vision is our North Star, our values guide our behaviours and how we get there. We've made a commitment to excellence. Put simply, we believe our students and our communities deserve the best. Inclusion. We'll be purposefully inclusive, making sure we open doors and unlock talent. That we will collaborate, because we believe collaboration unlocks solutions. Within the ecosystem of North Wales, with its FE partners, and I'm delighted to see Aled and Yana both here today, from Coleg Cambria and GLLM, whether it's the football club, whether it's the Wrexham Gateway with City Renewal, or whether it's about the deep partnerships we're developing to realise a new business gateway. We're also committed to transformation. As the world changes, we need to adapt, whether it's looking at how digital systems will transform our portfolio and systems within the organisation, or how we engage with emerging technologies. We are also committed to sustainability, critically financial sustainability in a landscape which is increasingly challenging, but also in terms of our commitments around climate change. Our university is looking ahead, and we have a bold plan for delivering the skills for the future, whether public sector or business, through our state-of-the-art facilities in cyber or sports science, or our ambition to go further still and develop technologies within our university around hydrogen and composite engineering. It's about our university acting as an engine for social mobility. We've ranked first for inclusion for the last 7 years. We'll build on this work with our children's university, developing partnerships to unlock that potential in our hardest to reach areas. It's about pioneering solutions for the real-world challenges of the 21st century and opening up new vistas in innovation through our research and our enterprise activities. Our future is also about Cymraeg, a living language. It's about celebrating and supporting Welsh language and culture. Our Eisteddfod this year in Wrexham was a chance to gather on the maes, to stand with our communities, to celebrate creativity and share knowledge that will shape tomorrow. It's underlined for me as an Englishman how education and culture together can inspire a confident, bilingual and global Wales. The Gwaddol or legacy of this year's Eisteddfod is for the first time we've enshrined in our strategy our commitment to the Welsh language. It's also about being a university for Wrexham, Wales and the world, and leveraging our global connections to bring back investment and partnerships which will benefit the people of Wrexham. But right at the heart of all of this, it's about our people. It's about our staff, our students and the people of Wrexham and North Wales. It's about our partners. It's about all of you who've gathered today, this afternoon. We recognise that at its heart, being a civic university is about relationships, it's about trust, it's about relevance, and it's about listening. A university can't just arrogantly project knowledge upwards. It must be porous, open to learning from the community it serves, to collaborate, to co-curate. Our people in Wrexham do just this, and there's an authenticity and generosity in their approach, something which has deeply impressed me. It's also about our civic mission, and every student who studies here, every member of staff, every partner we work with, and every business we partner with is part of that civic mission. The graduate who returns to teach, the nurse in the local hospital, the researcher helping a small business to innovate, or the symphony orchestra practicing here every Wednesday night, sun, rain or shine. These are the real signs of a civic university at work. So in conclusion, we live in challenging times, but I see huge opportunities, and I believe in universities like Wrexham, because universities like Wrexham are a force for good. The role of a Vice-Chancellor is one of stewardship, and I am truly deeply humbled by the trust placed in me to lead this remarkable university. Wrexham University for me is more than an institution. It's part of the fabric of Wrexham. It's a civic partner, a driver for opportunity, a catalyst for change, an engine of social mobility. As Wrexham itself steps forward with renewed confidence in a city with global recognition, the university is privileged to be part of that story, and rest assured we will do our bit. We will not forget our roots and where we come from, because this shapes our values, and through our Wrexham 2030 strategy is imprinted on our strategic intent. So I want to ask you to leave this hall knowing that your university is here for this place, Wrexham and North Wales. We rise when this community rises, and we succeed when Wrexham succeeds. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you.
Wel, gyfeillion, dyna ddiwedd ein seremoni y prynhawn yma. Gai nawr wahodd cadeirydd Bwrdd y Llywodraethwyr, Dr Lee Griffin, I gair cynulliad arbennig yma o Brifysgol Wrecsam. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our ceremony this afternoon. May I now invite the Chair of the Board of Governors, Dr Lee Griffin, to close our special congregation of Wrexham University.
Diolch. I can't follow that really. Just to say that your compassion, your commitment to this university and the communities we serve resonates so strongly, and it's so good to have you on board, Joe. So, now go on to the formal bit. In the presence of members of Wrexham University and in a congregation authorised by the university, you have witnessed the installation of Professor Joe Yates as Vice-Chancellor of Wrexham University in accordance with the orders of the Privy Council and resolutions of the university. He is therefore warmly welcomed into his role. We wish him strength and long life to enjoy the privileges of the role of Vice-Chancellor and to face responsibly those duties which accompany that role. And I'd like to add my own personal congratulations to Joe. I look forward to working together in the years to come. And joining you on what I think is an exciting journey and an exciting vision and commitment. That then concludes the business of this congregation, so I would now like to declare this congregation of Wrexham University is closed. Diolch yn fawr.
Wel, mae nawr yn bleser I wahodd côr John's Boys i'r llwyfan I gau y seremoni y prynhawn ma o dan arweiniad Aled Phillips. It now gives me great pleasure to invite John's Boys male voice choir to the stage to close our ceremony. Diolch yn fawr. Rhowch croeso iddyn nhw.
goes my heart beating, 'cause you are the reason I'm losing my sleep. Please come back now. There goes my mind racing, and you are the reason that I'm still breathing. I'm hopeless now, and I climb every mountain, swim every ocean, just to be with you and fix what I've broken. I need you to see that you are the reason. There goes my hand shaking, and you are the reason. My heart keeps bleeding. I need you now. And make sure that
Diolch o galon I chi am ganu mor hyfryd. Diolch o galon am fod yn rhan o'r seremoni pnawn yma. Thank you. Felly, gai ofyn I chi gyd I sefyll, os gwelwch yn dda, ar gyfer ein hanthem genedlaethol. Please, could you all stand now for our national anthem? Diolch yn fawr. Gyfeillion, dyna ddiwedd y seremoni prynhawn yma. Gai ofyn I chi gyd I aros yn sefyll ar eich traed nes bod y prosesiwn wedi gadael y neuadd, os gwelwch yn dda. A gwnewch yn siŵr i ymuno â ni yn y dderbynfa am ddiod ar ôl y seremoni. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this afternoon's ceremony. May I ask you all to remain standing until the procession have left the hall. And there's welcome to you all for a reception in the reception of the university afterwards. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you.